Yes.
Hey guys, I'm back after another year. So my good friend Giant Music asked me to design a few little drawings for his podcast. And for the video version of the podcast, he wanted me to design 9 original Pokemon. Yeah, 9 Pokemon. Anyway, I thought I'd go ahead and show you guys what my process was for this sort of video. Just thought it'd be interesting to show and give me a reason to come back and show you guys some cool drawings. So really all I'm going to do is going to have some voiceover and just kind of show you guys what my process was. I was given instructions on what to do with each of these Pokemon, some with better descriptions than others, but ultimately I'm happy with most of these results, and except for one, which we'll get to later. Anyway, just go ahead and enjoy the video. So the first one up was, as Austin officially called it, Magmasaur. This one I was actually really excited to do just because I really liked the idea of it. So the idea of it, based on Austin's description here, was he wanted a rhino with volcanoes for horns. And I thought that was such that felt like the most Pokemon sounding idea. So I felt like I might as well just go with that one first. Kind of just get myself in the headspace of designing one drawing on the fly and then just kind of going with that, and if I didn't like something I could go back and fix it and just kind of adjust it just a little bit. Ultimately I'm really happy with this one because this one was like a quick fire, okay, I want to do this, I want to see this on it, and I want to see that. And I kind of already got the idea because Austin and I have worked on so many projects together, and he and I used to do design work, so he would give me a description, and he kind of knows my language as it is, just the sort of stuff that I personally look for when I'm looking for a design. And with that, Austin kind of had the most simple and most easy to understand for me. So Giant and Eli's Pokemon concepts were a little harder to grasp because I didn't quite know what I was gonna do with those ones. But ultimately with Magmasaur, I wanted to give him that molten rock scale thing, which I thought was a really cool idea. It was part of the description, but I was a little concerned about it initially just because, it seemed like such a big task, but then I remembered that I had the select tool. Thank God for the select tool. And that honestly made it a whole lot easier, and as you can kind of see, as we went on, I got a little closer to my idea, and when I got to the coloring stage, I did something a little different. I went out and I tried a separate document messing with colors and tried to figure out good contrast and all that, and that's just me. This is just how I thought I should try it differently, and I think it came out really well, especially the coloring on this one, because I also got a chance to do a glowing effect, which I don't normally do. I got to mess with it here, but I really had to try hard on the Austin's ghost type Pokemon, which we'll get to later. And I wanted to do a bit of a gradient thing with this, and it's easier to just go ahead and use the gradient tool to get a nice, very smooth and light gradient going without using the secondary default brush, which is just, I don't know exactly how to describe that one. It's just a weird brush. And yeah, I mean, there wasn't a whole lot to it. It was very much just the idea kind of lent itself very easily to being I feel like I could see this in an actual game, and if not, if you guys don't like it, I'm sorry, but I still love it. This is still easily my favorite Pokemon design that we've done. And that's Magmasaur. Yep, that's Magmasaur, all right. It's a little lava rhinoceros. Alright, up next is, as Austin also calls this one, Hai Nya. Yeah, for real. But, bad pun name aside, which honestly I like, just because it seems like it's very much an Austin thing to say. But Anyway, this character is mainly based on sort of a boxer stereotype. So he wanted me to do the paws a little bit more like boxing gloves, and I figured the best way to do that is just make them like big and bulgy, and just make them look as like kind of, I guess kind of fluffy is the way that you would say it, but I didn't mean for them to look fluffy. They're supposed to look kind of tough-ish, but anyway, the end result here comes out to, well, basically just like Muhammad Ali styled cat boxer. But anyway, I really liked this idea. I feel like the color scheme looks very much like the I think it's Gatomon from Digimon, which I don't mind. I'm getting into Digimon as of late, actually, believe it or not. That has nothing to do with anything, but anyway. Basically, the only real point of reference that he gave me was the glove, or the boxer mittens, I guess, and use the tail as a belt, and use the markings the colored markings of the cat fur as like shorts. I was a little nervous going into this one just because I wasn't sure how the colors would translate, because like Pokemon has very, very simplistic color choices when it comes to, they don't really do textures when it comes to their Pokemon, like whether it's the pattern or just the regular fur. I think this one came out pretty good. This one is, I mean, obviously I'm biased, but personally I like the way that this one came out, and I was also told to use the like a calico cat styled color, so I went with white, orange, and black, which kind of gave me my starting point for the whole color scheme. And yes, I am a madman going all the way with like doing coloring, shading, and literally just rendering this out as far as I can. And that's just my own like artistic integrity. That's just like, I really want to do this, so I might as well just go all the way. I mean, there are obviously other days where I'm just like, I really don't want to do this. So I'm pretty happy with how these came out. I think I do see like a small issue with like the mitten bit. I can see where the textured part and the actual like just regular default brush comes in. But yeah, I'm actually pretty proud of this one. I really like the I feel like a lot of it has to do more with Austin's like design, or like just him giving me those guidelines to follow, and then me just kind of going with whatever sounded like a good idea in my head. So I think this is like actually kind of a good exercise that you can give yourself, is just like have your friends come up with like a certain number of designs and just go hog wild on it. Like, don't even bother with like actually like sitting down and trying to think too hard on like different poses and things like that. Like, just pick a pose, come up with the character design on the fly, and just see what happens. If you don't like it, that's okay. That's what the exercise is for anyway. And yeah, that's Hai Nya, and I still don't know how to feel about that name. And next is, we don't necessarily agree on the name for this one. I went with Semen, like cemetery, and his was just semen, which spelled out looked very much like semen but with a C. So we don't necessarily agree on like the actual name for this one, but this one was actually a really tough time for me because I don't normally do like glows, and like I don't mess with the adjustment layer all that much. Like, I do it sometimes, but I try to do it very much by hand. So it was a little harder because the description for this one was that he's a cloud of gas that glows green. And I thought if I did green, I'm gonna get sick of that color pretty quickly. So I thought I might as well go with a grayish color for his actual body. That way it would seem a little spookier, just like in universe, if this did exist. If he were more of a darker color, so that way just the little green glow and like the floating hands would be a little creepier from a distance. Like, say like at the end of a dark alley, you don't quite see the actual Pokemon, but then you see the the floating hands, and you see the floating candlestick or something like that. I just really thought that that was like the way to go with that one, because I'm just not very good with lighting. Like I'm trying to learn and I'm trying to get better at it, but at this point in time, I'm just not very good with lighting, or just doing gases, or just anything like that. Like, I tried to do the smudge tool here, make him look a little more gas-like, I guess is the word for it. I really liked working on this one because I got a chance to, like, kind of experiment with it a little bit more. I messed with the adjustment layer. I messed with coloring. So I tried doing like a little bit of color on the eyes. I don't know if I kept that. I'll have to see it at the end here, but anyways, I think that this one was probably the quickest one to get drawn, because like the body was very easy because it's all the secondary brush, and then the hand and the candlestick are actual hand, or like actual, like my usual drawing style. And I just kind of tried to fool around with it a little bit. This one took me a lot longer than the other ones did, so I kind of sped up the video a little bit more. Anyway, I hope you guys like this one. We still don't have an exact name for it, but hey, if you guys have a good name in the comments, I'd love to hear it. Alright, so this one is the first of Eli's designs. Eli as in Azaric, but anyway, his particular designs, oh man, this boy. This guy sent me what may as well have been a novel about his idea for Pokemons. And yes, I did go look up what an anteater looks like for this. So, like, basically what he told me was he wanted an anteater, but with sloth-styled claws. And I'm completely abridging this. I'm, like, shortening this as much as I possibly can. Basically, giant sloth hands, like those old, like, I guess they were saber-toothed sloths, I don't know exactly what they're called, but they were the really big ones that we have skeletons of in museums. And with a lightning-shaped tail, which I thought, I don't know about that one. But I went ahead with it, and this one is probably one of my lesser liked ones, besides one of Giant's designs that he gave me. Dear God, we'll get to that one soon. Anyway, this one was okay. I assumed that I may as well, and like, I assumed that he wanted a gray color scheme for this one. At least that's what the description told me, that he wanted like a grayish color scheme with this one, and with yellow for like lightning. And I felt like this was kind of one of the more lackluster ideas, it seemed. I appreciate that he had so many thoughts and ideas about it, but quite frankly, to me, like, this one was just, like, very... I guess that this feels very much like how the actual, like, Pokemon design spectrum is. They range from really cool and really creative to, that's okay, to, you know, just like that. That's just kind of how I imagine these tend to go sometimes. But ultimately, I think this is not a bad design. It's just not my favorite one that I've personally done. I don't think it was on the part of Eli, like, just based on his design. I think that it was more so just based on, like, how I perceived it, because, like, I think... But anyway, all in all, this is not my favorite design, but it's by far not my least favorite. I think it was an admirable job, and I think it was okay. Next up on the drawing block, as we call it, is Fraser. I'm not entirely sure how what all the names are. I don't have it on me right at this moment. But he basically wanted for this one, he wanted one that was like a satyr or fawn, as it were. Anyway, he basically wanted one that was like a Stantler, but it was like a cowboy? I thought this was a little bit odd because, like, I know that sometimes Pokemon tend to, like, get clothes or whatever from stuff that they find, but I thought this one was stretching it just a little bit. I could see this one being a thing, like maybe a trainer dressed it up or something, but I think beyond that, that's as much in the way of, like, suspending my disbelief. I mean, it's already Pokemon, so, like, I shouldn't have to suspend my disbelief all that much anyway. But This one I was a little unsure about because, like, the Stantler design looks really goofy to me. I don't like the big bulbousy nose. It looks very wrong to me. It looks like it's coming out from underneath another layer of skin. Instead of like what an actual deer looks like, they have that texture on the end of their snout that looks and kind of feels a lot like a dog's nose, whereas the rest of the body is all fur. It doesn't quite feel like that to me. It just looks really very much like a different set of flesh is coming out underneath. I just don't like the general design of the Stantler, so I was happy to say that I didn't have to copy it really at all, kinda. He just said that there were a few element designs to borrow from Stantler, like, for example, he wanted it to have those little orbs that are in the center of the antlers as a source for energy for a weapon that the creature has. I thought this was a very odd one, but you know what? I honestly had fun designing it in the long run, but like in the moment I was just thinking, like, I really hope I'm doing what he's thinking, or at the very least I liked how it came out. I don't know how I felt about the idea on paper, but you know what they say, sometimes you just have to see what happens when you throw something at the wall, you know? And that's where this guy came from. Next up on the drawing board is Senseiku. Now, this one was a little different because I was asked to do a humanoid-styled Pokemon. Now, personally, I don't normally think of, like, Pokemon as being humanoid. I try to think of them as, like, animals normally. But then I remembered that there are characters like Machamp, Machoke, just those types of humanoid-looking characters. So this one I gave into a little more easily, and I liked the idea of it the more I thought about it and the more I read the synopsis behind it. I suppose that you'll get to hear it on the podcast when that all goes down, but essentially this was like a ghost fighter Pokemon. This one was a really interesting way to go because I never thought that I would be doing one that looks relatively human, and I kind of liked the direction I ended up taking, which was I kind of used the Machamp or Machoke kind of face with like the big like kitty cat sort of shaped mouth, and I gave him like empty looking eyes so that it feels a little more ghost-like. So I tried to make him not necessarily threatening, but I also wanted him to look like he could be intimidating if he tried. Ultimately, you have to go for sort of a welcoming look, but also keep in mind that this is supposed to be an animal, or I guess in this case it'd be a Japanese animal, that could very easily hurt you. So I mostly went from the angle of giving it the monk look and the sort of like deception of like a monk looking very peaceful and very non-violent sort of. And that was kind of just like the best way I figured you could go about that, and it is part of how the design document told me I had to kind of go about that. But you know what? If I had to say, if I did this again, I probably would do it the same way because I really liked how this came out. It feels very Pokemon. It feels a little more like it would be like one of those cut ideas that people would that they would do at Game Freak or something like that. But I would have to say I'm pretty proud of this. This one took me a little while to figure out exactly how to make it kind of ghost-like without making it look creepy. So like that's what all those pauses were for earlier. Like when I was doing the sketching, I was just trying to figure out like how can I make this look threatening, but also not threatening. It's one of those oxymorons that you kind of tell yourself when you're designing, because like oftentimes your client will be like, I want you to do this, but without doing blank. It's a common thing, but sometimes I think it's really good that you push yourself and that you end up doing something you didn't think you could do beforehand and finding out that you could actually do it. It kind of opens up a door of like it means that I could do another challenge put in front of me that would be relatively similar and that I could still come out on top somehow. At least that's how I tend to look at it. I know I went off on that one, but anyway, that's Senseiku, or Senseiku. Yeah, that. Oh boy. Alright, time to get the one that I hate the most out of the way. Well, Jyan, my good buddy Jyan, decided to give me a Pokemon based on a soda can. Yeah, he went there, and I can't believe that he did. Basically, all I really did was I just put legs on a soda can, made a face out of the can opener that's on the can, and I decided to fuck with Jyan just a little bit and sent him one of 3 different soda brands, each of which I probably can't tell you about, but based on the color scheme, I can only imagine that you'll probably get it right away. And I can't show you the pictures of the soda cans that I took off of Google Images, but you know. This was easily the dumbest idea that I think Jyan has ever given me. And believe it or not, Jyan has given me some dumb ideas before, but usually, in the end, they work out for the better. This is not one of those cases. This is one of those times where he asked me to draw a fucking soda can. And now, an actually cool idea from Jyan. So Jyan gave me this one. Basically, it was an Iceberg. I didn't hear anything about legs, so I kind of just gave it like tiny little claw feetsies at the bottom. I just thought it'd be kind of weird to have a bird without legs, or at least feet or something like that. There are some birds that have like itty bitty little legs that are kind of like sunk into the body, so that's kind of what I thought for this one. I think it would have been cooler if I had just given it like actual like bird legs or something, but it was like 7 a.m. at this point by the time I had gotten started on this one, so I figured, you know what, I'm just gonna go with these. I'm not gonna bother with full-on legs. Plus, even if I did, I don't think they would necessarily be visible by the time that I got finished with the like putting the wings over them. Anyway, basically it was just an Iceberg, and I thought like probably the best thing that I can do is give it some icicle shape appendages, or feathers, I guess is probably a better word for it. The instructions said that the back wings had to be larger than the front wings. Oh yeah, that's right. And he also said that he wanted it to be 4-winged, which I think that's unique enough to make it feel more like a Pokemon. This one I think feels more like an actual Pokemon. It does kind of remind me of Golduck from Psyduck's evolution, which I don't mind. I actually thought that I've always liked a lot of the Pokemon designs, even when I was a kid. Like, I would draw Pokemon. There wasn't a whole lot to this one. I just wanted to kind of give it colder colors, give it icicle-shaped feathers. The wings, I feel like I could have done more with. I feel like I could have made them spikier instead of like very triangular is what I would probably, I guess, yeah, like polygonal is kind of what comes to mind when I look at these wings. And I think that there's a couple of other issues I might have with them. Like, I think now that I look at it again from this perspective, it doesn't look as good as I would like it to. I would probably like give it like pointed, or more of the pointed like icicle feathers motif on the wings. Give it more of the icicle look. But this was not a bad one. I think just the color was pretty lackluster with it, because I mean, like, if you're a bird in the Arctic, you're probably not going to be very colorful. But either way, I was pretty happy with this one. And yeah, let's move on to the final Pokemon. Last but not least on Jyan's create a Pokemon list is Stonerius, I think is what he called it. But anyway, I was told to use like a little bit more of a cement and rock motif I kind of went for like a stone gorilla sort of thing, like with the, or at least with the front facing knuckles on the ground. He said it was like a big lumbering creature, and I thought it'd be cool if it was just made of like these rocks assembled. I always kind of like that idea. Like, I think there's lore from the Dark Crystal Netflix series, which I thought was a really cool puppet, and I just like rock-based creatures because like there's a lot of freedom to use the shapes of rocks to, not only because human shapes are kind of made out of rocks, but also because like rocks come in so many different shapes and sizes that you can kind of just mess with them, and as long as you make it gray or give it that like that little dotted texture that it has, you can mistake just about any of those shapes for a rock and it would probably fly. Basically, that's kind of where the whole thing ended up, and I really like how it came out. I don't think that I would say that this is the most Pokemon-like kind of design that I've done. I could see this being like maybe a concept piece, but I don't think this would be something that you could see in a game, in like a Pokemon game, like in a Pokemon game at least. Maybe in another game, like this feels more like a Shadow of the Colossus type of creature. Like, I don't know, like I like the idea of it, and I really like where I went with it. I think it's a nice, simple design, but if you were to put this next to Pokemon, I don't think it would fly nearly as well. But yeah, all in all, I was happy with it, and I liked playing with the stone look, and you know what? I like this one. I think that's really all that matters for this one at the very least. But yeah, that's Stonerius, I think. And with that, that was my 9 Pokemon designs. Dear Lord, I was tired after doing this project. I spent most of my time doing this like in the early mornings from like 2 in the morning to 3, and then I spent like 7 in the morning till 10 o'clock. So that was my life for 2 days. So if you guys like this video, let me know what you think. Drop a like, tell me in the comment section below, subscribe if you really want to, and let me know if some other video ideas you'd like to see me do. I'd like to try maybe doing some other design videos kind of like this. Just some like basic instinct designs, like just something that comes out of my head, like what first comes to mind, just put it out on the screen, see what happens. Other than that, I've got some actual like full-on production videos coming out, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Peace.